it's gonna be fun. I was having some trouble picking a story, to be honest, just because there are so many. But I decided, you know, let's start with something light. Let's start with something like less crazy. If this does well, then, you know, maybe we'll escalate. This is a disclaimer that I'm making now, which I should have made earlier in the video. But disclaimer, this is not targeting anyone. This is not coming for anyone's throat. I'm not talking ill about anyone. I'm just genuinely sharing my experiences. I think I spoke briefly about this particular story on my YouTube channel, so go check that out if you want more content, and I swear I'm gonna be posting more videos this year. But this story is about during the time when I was doing music shows. Everyone was exhausted, so obviously any chance we got, we were sleeping. And one time after we had done our performance and we were waiting for the ending shot where they announced who won that week, so I was knocked out on this couch, absolutely just gone. That day I was wearing a white skirt. You kind of might know where this is going. Of course, I was wearing white when I was on my lady time of the month. After I took that nap, which was for probably like an hour or so, I was getting up to get my hair and makeup retouched, and as I was walking, all of a sudden my stylist goes, and then she comes and she just like hugs me from the back, to which I was just kind of like, oh, you know, cute. But then she goes, Denise, let's go to the bathroom. So we go into the bathroom, and all of a sudden she goes, oh my gosh. And so I turn around, and lo and behold, in the mirror, it's just, there is a fat ass red dot, like this big, you know, like it was pretty bad. So my stylist calls in the other stylist, who is the head stylist, and she's just like in awe at that point of what just happened. So she basically is like a commander at this point. She's like, cold water, soap, someone grab a hairdryer, let's go, like chop chop. Skirts off, they're scrubbing, they're doing all that. I'm standing on the side being like, I'm so sorry. All in all, they did get the stain out, luckily, and then we made it in time for the stage. We were so tired, just like very high tension, high stakes, which in hindsight, like, it kind of is, but also it really isn't. Honestly, we were pretty new in the scene at that point, and they were not going to put us in the front. They're probably going to put us in the back. No one's going to see me from the back at that point. And while we're on the topic of stylists, actually, I frequently see like comments on other idols or like other people or mine or stuff like that. They're posting like, what are these outfits, like fire their stylist and things like that. But the stylists do not have any control sometimes, I'm gonna tell you. Because sometimes my stylist would create and like pull out the most beautiful outfit, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so cunty, I love this. And then they would send it up for approval, and then they would be like, trash, change it. And the gag for me, honestly, was just the fact that these were like men saying this. Not that men can't have style, but it's just like, these are old ass men that are like, no, like it should be like this, and they would give suggestions on the styling. We would come back, and then it got to a point where our stylist, when we would take the photos after our fittings to send, she would deliberately make it uglier just so that they would say yes. Once we kind of figured out that formula, the outfits started going through. And I felt really bad for my stylist because, you know, like, this is her job. Like, she knows what she's doing. But then for some reason, these old ass men are coming and telling her what to do as if they know better than her. It just kind of irked me. I understand that they have an image and a concept that they want, but it's just in the sense where you hired professionals to do this, let the professionals do their job. But I would just hate seeing those comments because half the time they're honestly just doing what they're told, which is majority of the people in the K-pop industry. Everyone's just trying to get their check and go home, which is actually funny because I'm pretty sure a lot of them are severely underpaid, like me. Because if you think your faves are getting paid, think again. Because I just don't think that stylists or hair and makeup artists even, they don't get enough credit for all the work that they do, because they're there from like top to bottom. Like, they're there from the moment you wake up, because they have to get there first, to be honest, because they have to open the shop and they have to put all their equipment out and then do your hair and makeup and then pack it up and then come with you to the shoot, and then they have to retouch your hair and makeup and be there all the time, and they leave like after you do, which is so crazy, to be honest. Because as the person going on stage, it was already hard enough, but I can't imagine just being on the sidelines and doing all that. I also just think I kind of got lucky in terms of the people I was working with, because I did really enjoy their company and their presence, and I like them, and I still talk to them to this day. But yeah, that was my story time. Let me know if you guys want more, or if you have any other questions. We are back with another one. Do people approach you a lot at college and remember you from your idol days? To be honest, I don't think that I'm as relevant as a lot of people think I am. It happens very, very rarely, I would say. It honestly doesn't happen, I think, as much as maybe you guys would think. The whole time I've been in school, it's happened maybe a total of twice max. This just mainly being people that have actually come up to me and talked to me. And I think it's really sweet. You know, I think it's really funny because I honestly don't expect it most of the times, but I also really don't talk to many people on my campus just because I mostly go to class and then I come home and then I just work or study in between, so I don't really spend a lot of time socializing. I'm very studious for the most part. I think that just has more to do with the fact that I'm genuinely just here to get my degree, and also because I work outside of school. I do freelance, I do covers and stuff like that. I post content, and that takes up a good chunk of my time, which is really funny, to be honest, considering I don't even post that often. More than content, to be honest, though, I think I just spend a lot of time working on my own stuff, whether it's recordings or music. And I spend a lot of time studying and practicing in general. Basically, I don't really have time to do other stuff. I don't know what it is. I just think I'm super focused on literally getting my degree. Also because I really acknowledge that going to school is a privilege, especially higher education. I actually grew up being online schooled when I was living abroad in Korea when I was training. So I think that's where a lot of my work ethic comes from. Because even though I'm a music business major, I still take core music classes and also have a private instruction, which I do vocal for. I think college is a great way to network, especially since I go to a fine arts college. But I think right now, since I am still pretty early on in my college career, I mostly spend my time focusing on my education. And then later on in the future, I want to make connections and meet people. I actually don't get recognized much in general, to be honest. Playing back into the whole, I don't think I'm as relevant as you guys think I am. More people that do recognize me are like, aren't you the dangerously girl? Or aren't you the Kyaru girl? Like, I get really mixed stuff. Now that I think about it, I think more people have recognized me from K-pop star more than anything else, which is really funny because that was like 10 years ago almost. And when that happens, I'm like, oh yeah, how did you recognize me? And they're usually like, you look the same. Which I can't really argue with, to be honest, because I do look the same. The only difference, I think, is that after I hit my 20s, my face kind of slimmed out because I had them chubby cheeks. And I still kind of do. And I used to not like them. And I actually had a lot of recommendations from companies that I'd been in aesthetic-wise to get this injection where they put it in and it basically burns the fat in your face. And I'm really glad, honestly, that I didn't do it because I think if I had done it and my face slimmed out now, I would literally be like... But I am really grateful on the occasion that people do recognize me. I've also gotten a lot of comments, or I'll get messages saying like, oh, I saw you at whatever and I didn't know whether to say hi or not. Always come say hi. I would love to meet you. It makes me so happy. I look kind of, I guess, intimidating sometimes. Like, there's RBF, like resting bitch face. I kind of have that, but more than that, I have resting sad face. When I'm not emoting, I just look sad. And I didn't know this about myself, obviously because I don't see myself, but then whenever I would see videos or pictures of me, I just look very tired and borderline irritated. But don't let my demeanor fool you. I think also, especially since I debuted during COVID, I didn't get to have much interaction. I never got to perform in front of a live audience during my career, except for maybe like King of Masked Singer, which wasn't even like an audience, it was just the judges. But thanks for watching if you made it to the end, and leave me more questions if you want me to do more videos like this. Can you do spill the tea posts like Daisy? I would love to, but to be completely honest with you, I don't really know what classifies as tea. There are some things, however, that I would like to shed some light upon in the K-pop world. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about why idols become worse at singing after they debut. Quick disclaimer, this does not apply to everyone. These are just some general reasons that I have found, some of the bigger reasons or more common reasons that this happens. So here are 3 reasons that I have found in terms of why they become worse. Also, I have like really bad seasonal allergies right now, so if I sound like Squidward, that's why. Reason number 1, songs are not meant for the artist. And by this, I mean, most of the time songs are selected by the companies and the artists don't really have much to do in terms of what songs they're choosing, but these songs are usually selected and they are more focused on the concept that they're doing rather than, oh, does this suit the vocalist? Is the group able to carry this vocally? I'm sure there is some discussion about that behind the scenes, but for the most part, it's not really a main priority because most of the times they're going, okay, we can just record it and then fix it and then it'll be fine. And the members can just practice before they start doing live shows, or they just won't sing live at all. And this becomes a really big problem when they do have to start singing the song live. I don't think people understand, no matter how good of a singer you are, if a song is not in your key or if it's not in your style and not what you're used to, it's gonna be difficult to sing. Well then, Denise, why don't they just practice it more before they start performing it? That's a great idea. That sounds really great, but most of the times these performances, they're not just vocal based. They have to do crazy dancing or like backflips or whatever the new generations are doing. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, they're going to prioritize the performance over the actual vocals, because vocals, you know, you can always overlay, you can use backing track, you can just lip sync at that point, especially because K-pop has become so much of a performance based thing, and it always kind of was. I don't know if this is commonly known, but there's actually certain frequencies. If a song is in this key, it makes it more appealing to the ear and more catchy. So there are certain cases that they refuse to change the key of the song no matter how hard it is to sing for the artist because it is catchier. The second reason is vocal health. Vocal health is something that is extremely important. This is kind of thrown under the rug a lot of the times, where I kind of just think like, oh, if you're a singer, you can just sing whenever. Like, it's not a big deal. Wrong. There's been a lot of instances where I've been sick and I still had to go on and perform or sing somewhere. Not only that, but there's also been instances where, being very, very transparent with you, there are times where I was about to go on stage and they said, oh, we're actually singing live today, we're not lip syncing. To which I was like, oh, time for me to start busting out these warm-up skills, you know? 2 minutes before I gotta go on. Also, being really tired and exhausted really takes a toll on your voice. If you notice, whenever you're sick, your voice and your throat is one of the first things to go, and that's because your throat is one of the most sensitive parts of your body, if not the most sensitive. I think people tend to forget all of the things that idols are doing behind the scenes in terms of scheduling. There's very little downtime that you actually get, to be honest. And when you do get that downtime, your first instinct is not, I should go get some vocal lessons. It's usually like, let me lay in bed and rot for the next however many hours I have. So this exhaustion will then pile up, and it takes a big toll on your vocal health and just your health in general. A really big thing that I also had was warming up my voice. There were a lot of times where we'd be in waiting rooms, which is most of the times, especially when we're doing music shows. I would be warming up, and since you share those waiting rooms with other people, I've had managers or people say like, oh, you need to be quiet because you need to be respectful of other people, which is kind of crazy to me because of the fact that, you know, we're all singers here. Like, we're gonna go on stage and sing most of the times, sometimes, and I need to warm up my voice if you want me to sing properly. So for the people that are saying like, oh, they should practice more, they need to get more lessons, there is little to no time to be really able to do that. For the comments, they're like, oh, this is literally their job. I understand that, but this is not a normal job. Normal jobs have a time frame of which you are to work and which you're not really at work. And also, you get paid. Also, you're not getting constantly scrutinized on the internet because of it. But whenever all these things start to add up, it's like lack of rest, just sheer exhaustion, lack of health, both general and vocal, and just constant external factors, whether it's where you're performing, the technical stuff, like everything. It's so different every time. People expect so much from these idols when most of them are literally minors. And the last reason is going to be the one that either people really don't want to hear or one that people accept a little too easily, which is the fact that some of these idols just aren't singers. I think it's very well known within the K-pop community that vocals, or I guess quote-unquote talent, is not one of the most prioritized things in the industry, which, you know, at the end of the day, it's business. And some of these performers just are only that. They're just performers. They're not singers. They're not strong vocalists. Singing is not always something that can be learned. There are just some people that they're just not meant to sing, period. There's a ton of other reasons that I didn't cover, like the good old singing and dancing at the same time is really hard, all this other stuff, but I'm just generally saying, you know, these are some things that I think people should consider before leaving nasty comments. Just a quick disclaimer, if anyone made it to the end of this video, I'm probably gonna get comments about it anyways, but I'm not defending anyone, I'm not covering anyone's ass, I'm not saying like, oh, cut them some slack, back, because yeah, at the end of the day, it is their job. There's just a lot of other factors that go into it that I don't think people realize. There's a lot that goes on in idol life, behind the scenes in general, that I don't think people are willing to take into account or think about. So maybe this wasn't tea, but there are a few things that I think that people who are into K-pop would find interesting. So if you have any other topics that you'd like me to shed a little light on, leave me some comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Bye! Wait, so you got paid? Welcome back to another one of these. This is future editing, Denise, because I realized something I filmed here got cut out. For background, I was an idol for 2 years roughly, and during that time I participated in the group's debut and one comeback. Now we go back to the video. I can share some insight into how the payment breakdown is in the K-pop industry. If you didn't know, I'm a music business major and I have learned so much about what is wrong with K-pop contracts and what makes them so bad, I guess. More than bad, let me rephrase that. More than bad, I would say just not favorable for the artist. And I'm talking about the very standard contract that most people receive. It's different per company and it's different per artist, but this is the general thing that I've seen around during my time in the industry. Here's my little disclaimer that I put at the beginning of every video. This is not targeting anybody. This is genuinely me speaking on my experience and knowledge. This is not the Bible of K-pop. This is not the same for every artist. It's not the same for every company. This is genuinely speaking from my experience. Normally, whenever artists sign a contract with a company, the contract also specifies what the company will cover and what the company will not cover, and this will then turn into debt, where the company will put forward the money and basically invest in the artist. K-pop contracts are what is known in the American music industry as a 360 deal. The 360 deal is basically what it sounds like. This is pertaining to the music side, like modeling, acting, like everything that that artist might be in. So when these artists, if they signed this contract, go in, everything that the company's spending money on for them is in advance. And this basically just means that the company is going to pay for everything that the artist needs. And this is training, lessons, food, dorm, accommodations, everything. I have also, however, seen some things where the money that goes to the training, they just waive that entire thing and take that as them putting in the investment, and they only start charging and rolling over how much money they spent once they debut. But now, since we're talking about actual idols, most idols do not get paid for a very long time, especially if they're coming from a smaller company. Most common thing that companies will do is a thing called cross-collateralization, which is terrible. Normally in the music business industry, every album an artist releases, they have their advance, and those are called recoupables, which means that the money that goes out is going to be paid back. If it's a 360 deal, it just kind of comes from the whole package of all of the things that the artist does. And say if they don't meet how much they needed to recoup from that advance, the company will just take it as a loss and then move forward on to the next project. What cross-collateralization does is that every project you do then in the future, if you did not recoup that first advance, all of the money then that you make in the future, you will not earn any money until that is recouped. And this is why so many idols will go for such a long time without earning any money. I'm not a lawyer, by the way. Another disclaimer, I'm just a music business major and I really, really enjoy the subject, and I've done a lot of research and really love the material, so I study it really often because it's something that pertains to me. This is not legal advice, this is just me speaking from a place of my knowledge and my experience. If there's any lawyers or actual music business, like people who have a degree and stuff like that, please feel free to correct me. I don't want to be spreading misinformation, but this is as far as I know. Thing is, with K-pop, nothing's really super low budget. There are some companies that cut around the corners and don't have the best music videos or the best songs or the best mixing, and that's understandable. But even then, not spending that much can really add up because you're doing music promotions, you're doing hair and makeup costs, you're doing all these other things, and that's all recoupable and split within the group. There's also kind of gray area in the K-pop contracts where the money that you earn will be distributed within the group, meaning that even though one member gets a lot more work than other members, say they get a brand deal or something, that money is still going to be split amongst the members and covering that debt. There's that whole thing where, I don't know how people found out, but they're saying like, oh, do you only get paid $36 for music shows? When I was an idol, I saw how much that I was getting paid from these music shows. This shocked me. I was like, are you shitting on my dick right now? Like, this is insane for how much is going into this. When I was there, the lowest one that I was being paid was $44 to $45 USD if I convert it. And yes, this is how much you're getting paid as a group. You are splitting this $45 amongst however many members you have. So these idols are not going on music promotion shows to earn money. They are literally just going on there to do what the show says, promote their music. The thing is, you're going, oh, well, if you do a lot of music shows, I guess then it would kind of add up, right? Wrong. Because the amount of money that is going into the outfits, doing the hair and makeup, the food, the coffee, the transportation, it's just not gonna work. I'm not blaming the companies. I'm not saying that they're awful or horrible. I would like to honestly not like to just imagine that they're robbing these kids blind. But at the end of the day, business is business. So they need to get their money back and they need to earn money in order to stay afloat. However, I just don't like the fact that they base their success or their income on minors. So unfortunately, no, I did not get paid quite literally a single cent from my time as an idol, but it was for the plot, I guess. It was for the experience, and through that, I got to know you guys. So I try to take it in stride and be grateful for the opportunity that I was given, even though there were some unfavorable parts about it. So all in all, no, I did not get paid. Some people do get paid and some people don't. It's just kind of a thing, and it depends on how well your group does and how much money the company's putting into and where your break even is. But yeah, I didn't make any money. So that answers your question, but I hope this gave some insight, and let me know if there's any other questions you have, I guess. Thanks for watching. Bye.